Happy homesteaders. So I'm actually getting over sickness, so if I cough or anything, excuse me for that. I have I started coming down with a cold a couple of days ago, and then I have allergies compounded with that, so it's, I don't know. Anyway, I have gone strawberry picking today. So you saw my earlier post. I got 3 gallons of strawberries. We overflowed them over the top, so it was probably just a little bit over 3 gallons. But I have gone ahead and hulled the strawberries. I picked the tops off, and I have gotten about 10 cups in my pot here. So if you have a scale, you're looking at about 5 pounds of strawberries in your pot if you want to do a big old batch of jelly. I am actually bringing these to heat now. I went ahead and got my sugar and my lemon juice. The recipe that we're going to use calls for a whole lot of sugar. That's the ball recipe. I have actually had other people's jellies and jams that follow the ball recipe, and they are like sickening sweet to where you almost can't eat them. I mean, it's just too sweet. So I am actually going to use Pomona's Pectin today, and that is a pectin that adheres to the fruit and your concoction, whatever, the fruit jelly along with your lemon juice or whatever. So it adheres to that and makes it a jelly without requiring the sugar. Now I am going to put some sugar in it because I like to have a little bit of sugared jelly, but I'm certainly not using what the recipe calls for, which for 10 cups of strawberries would be 7.5 cups of sugar, which is just insane. That's a lot of sugar. So I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be kind of playing with my sugar a little bit. You could always add to, but you can't take away, right? You've heard that in cooking. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And I can do that safely with my Pomona's Pectin. So if you don't have this, Amazon sells it. It's in my subscribe and save. I've been getting it every month for several months now because I was worried it would go up with the summertime coming and everybody's starting to make jellies. So I've been getting it every month through the winter time. So I've got plenty of it. Another nice thing about Pomona's Pectin is you can double or triple a recipe and it's not going to affect the jelly setting. So if you're doing this with like regular pectin, you can't double or triple the recipe because the pectin won't set right. So even though you do like everything right, maybe add 2 packs of pectin and all that jazz, it's still not going to set right. Whereas with Pomona's Pectin, it will. Another thing I want to bring up is liquid pectin. You don't have to bring your fruit and sugar to a rolling boil and add the pectin and get that to a rolling boil. If it's liquid pectin, it just adheres better to it and it sets almost right away. So if you want to try, if you're kind of a beginner and you want to try something a little easier, I recommend getting the liquid pectin to start out with. But I'm not going to be using that today. I'm going to be using Pomona's because I am not about to do like heavy amounts of sugar in this thing. Just personal preference. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just cooking down the strawberries. They have nothing added to them. It's literally just strawberries. I'm going to cook them down and I'm going to cook them into a strawberry juice, which, I mean, we're going to be using that as our jelly. You can't use the whole strawberry in a jelly, otherwise it becomes a jam. Once I get this cooked down into a juice, I'm not going to get rid of all of the pulp that I have. I'm actually going to transfer that to another pot, and then I'm going to turn that into a jam. So I'm not going to throw any of this stuff away. The point of homesteading is to make the most of what you've got, but I am going to do two different sets of something. So I'm going to do strawberry syrup, or strawberry juice right now, and then I'm going to do jelly with that, and I'm going to do jam with what I have left. Or maybe I'll make strawberry syrup. Now that I said syrup, kind of makes me want to do strawberry syrup. There goes my spoon. Guess I'll have to get another spoon. So anyway, I'm going to wait for this to cook down into a liquid form, and I will be back. How you doing? I hope you're doing okay. How's your not soup or syrup, how's your juice doing? Hopefully it's doing well. Mine is doing really good. It's setting up nicely. I still have some hard strawberries kind of on top that I'm going to be getting to kind of cook down. My heat is on medium-low. I'm going to actually turn it up a little bit because this will need to come to a boil anyway. But you can see how pretty that is setting up. Let's see. But unfortunately my low light does this weird flicker thing. So I normally don't have my low light on, but it's easier on the eyes. Isn't that pretty? Turn it off altogether. So, and over here I have my straining station where I've started just bringing some juice over to strain it out. There is a bowl underneath here. So I'm just straining out some of my juice to get ready to turn it into jelly. I want it to be as smooth as possible, but if I get some extra seeds in there or something, because strawberry seeds, as you know, are like teensy, teensy tiny. So it's okay if there's some seeds in there. I just don't want massive amounts of pulp, because that's kind of icky. So I'm just kind of transferring some of it over as it's ready on top. You don't want bubbles in your jelly, because yes, that does set and you have a nice foamy top to your jelly. So I will skim that off after I've done everything, come to a rolling boil. So as I'm getting ready to put that in the jars, that's when I'll worry about the bubbles that you saw on top. Before that, it's no big deal. I'm just going to strain that out. I'm going to keep this pulp actually, because I decided for the second thing I'm going to make with the strawberries today, I'm going to make strawberry sauce. So that is going to be a lot of fun, because that is actually going to use something homemade that was from last summer. So a friend of mine, we went picking blueberries, and she picked some crab apples and made apple syrup out of it, which is just sugar and apple. I'm going to cut back on my sugar for the syrup because there's already sugar in her syrup, but that pretty much is apple juice. So, and my recipe calls for apple juice, unsweetened apple juice, which I do not have, so I'm just going to use for apple syrup and cut back on the amount of sugar I add to that recipe. So it's a good way to use what I've got, right? I've got a big old strawberry. Pull him out. I'm going to use strawberry, and actually I'm going to go ahead and put that in the strawberry sauce pot. It's okay if I have some bigger ones, because I'm going to need those anyway for the strawberry sauce. I'm just going to kind of scoop off as much of the juice as I can for now to help the rest of the strawberries cook down. Still keeping a close eye on it. I have not left my kitchen for any reason, because when you're in the middle of this, the last thing you want is a burnt strawberry. It's looking good. I need 3 3/4 cup of this juice for one set of the recipe, which I do believe it said it makes 6 half pints, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 6 half pints, maybe 8. Regardless, I have a lot in my canner warming up right now. So the half pints are this size. That's a pretty good size for jelly. I also have some of the cute little jars of 4 ounces that I'm going to do, because oh my goodness, those make the most adorable gifts, especially when they've got like this brightly colored jam and jelly inside. Like you stack up a strawberry jelly with a blueberry jelly and maybe like a Christmas jam as the bookends with the strawberry and the Christmas jam, and you have such a pretty little wrap up for teachers for Christmas, or even for teacher appreciation gifts. Christmas jam isn't just for Christmas time. You can call it cranberry orange jam if you want to. Although I think Christmas jam is a very pretty name for it, because it does taste like Christmas. Scoop it out. Oh, I'm going to use that for the... I don't waste anything. I've got my pulp that I'm going to be using for the, the syrup. So I'm going to let this continue to cook down. I'm just checking in, making sure that you're good. And we're going to continue to get ready to make our strawberry jelly. And I'm also going to make some strawberry sauce with my pulp. I'm not throwing anything away. We're using everything. I went to a lot of work, and it was a lot of money to get gallons of strawberries, so why would I waste any of it, right? It can all be canned, and that is exactly what we're going to do. I'll be back when it's almost ready to go into the canner again, or the pot again. And my phone wouldn't open because my thumb had strawberry sticky on it. But anyway, I have separated and strained out the juice, which you can see here. The pulps are already in their bowl, ready to go. Back here, now I'm not going to try to heat on right now because that's one too many things I've got going on right now. But you can see I've separated the pulp, not throwing all that beautiful stuff away. Those strawberries could still use some cooking down, and they will go in for my strawberry sauce. But now I have plenty of juice for the jelly, so I'm going to go ahead and get that started. My hope is that I actually have enough here to double my recipe, which would be fantastic. But I have to follow the recipe very precisely. That's just the thing. When you have tested recipes, follow them precisely, and you cannot go wrong with this stuff setting up. So I need 3 3/4 cup. This is a half cup measurer of juice for one go of it. So 1, 2, so that's 1 cup. 3, 4, 2 cups. 5, 6, 3 cups. 7, 8, 4 cups. 9, 10, 5 cups. Ooh. 11, 12, 6 cups. What is this? A 6 1/2. I needed and I needed 3 3/4. So I'm just a tiny bit shy of what I need. So what I'm going to do, because I still have some juice over here, and this one that I transferred over. So what I'm going to do is get some juice back out of my hulls. So I need 7 1/2 cups of juice, right? And I got to 6. Ooh. There's a 4th. This is going to take me a hot minute. I could go ahead and get my potato masher and mash this down because you're supposed to do that with this recipe. Oh wait, here we go. Hang on. I want that little bit of hole to fall in. So that's 6 3/4. I'm close, I'm close. Yeah. There's 7. I need another 1/2 cup. It's in here, I just got to get it out. There's a little bit. I'm only doing this because I'm doubling the recipe. If I was only going to do a single of the recipe, then I wouldn't worry about it and I'd just save the juice and I would put the extra juice in my strawberry sauce back here. But as it stands, since I'm doubling it, I do need that. Here we go, here we go. That amount. All right. All right. So that did it. And I got all the juice out of the back, which is okay. Now I'm going to bring this up to a rolling boil because I'm going to add some sugar and I'm going to add my lemon juice. So I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. I am following the ball recipe. If you want to look it up and have a copy, I'm following it out of my book. 3, 4. So 4 tablespoons of lemon juice and then astonishing 7 1/2 cups of sugar. I already said I'm not adding that much and I'm not going to. That is just way too much sugar for anybody. You can use cane sugar in place of white granulated sugar. I find that cane, I have a harder time breaking it down, and cane to me, you need a little less of it, so it's harder to get measurements on cane sugar. But if you want to, I'm sick right now, so I'm not dipping anything to taste test. But if you want to do it, and it's just for you guys, and you want to like dip and keep tasting to see how things are going, I'm not going to do that. I've already dirtied that now. scoops. So let's go with the 1/3 cup. I know for sure I'm going to go with 2 cups. With the Pomona's Pectin, I can be more at ease with my sugar. So that's 1 cup. It is pretty tart. I had some of it drip on my hand, some of the juice, and I tasted it. It's pretty tart. It definitely needs some sugar help. Give it a little stir here. Now you want to get this to a rolling boil before you add your pectin, and you also want it to boil once you add your pectin. If you are adding the Sure Gel pectin, ball pectin, whatever else, you must put 7.5 cups of sugar in. Otherwise it will not set up, because that pectin needs the sugar to adhere to it to make the jelly. So you have to add that much sugar. There's no changing that one up, I'm sorry. But if you get the Pomona's Pectin, you possibly could go less with the fruit pectin liquid. I've never actually used this with less sugar than it called for, because I just used the Pomona's. But that, if you want to experiment with it and see how the liquid pectin does, your jelly will pretty much be setting before you even put it in your jars. So you'll be able to tell if it's going to set before you put it in your jars. Alright, let's see how we're looking. Whatever this tastes like this is how it's going to taste like as jelly. So just make sure that you get the sugar to your family's liking. And I am going to taste it, but I'm going to do it this way. You know what? Some of the... Hang on now. When I was scooping extra out, it looks like some of the holes fell in. Luckily, they float to the top. They don't go hiding from you. Blueberries are the worst. Everything goes hiding from you. You got a little bit over there, and the blueberries are playing hide and seek with you. Strawberry floats to the top. And this does have some pulp in it, but it's still going to be smooth. You know, it's not like big chunks of something like jam is. You know, 2 cups may be about enough. That's still pretty sweet. I'm going to add, because the aftertaste is kind of tart. I like my strawberry jelly tart. I like to taste the strawberries. I'm not looking to have a lick of sugar. I'm looking to have a lick of strawberry whenever I have strawberry jelly on my PB&J. I mean, if I want sugar on my PB&J, I'll just go ahead and put sugar on it, right? So I want to taste the fruit with the peanut butter, not the sugar with the peanut butter. So you can always add, can't take away. So I just added another 1/3 of a cup. Because I like the flavor a lot. It just has a bit of a bite for an aftertaste to it. Got a bit of a tartness, which isn't bad. If you like tart, you'd really like that. But to me, it's kind of like Warhead sour, where you put it in your mouth and you're like, that's not bad, then you go, whoop, when it hits you. So that was kind of what it felt like. That's enough. So I put 2 1/3 cup for double the recipe, okay? So if I doubled this and added the sugar with regular pectin, I'd be looking at 14 cups. Sorry, 15, because it's 7.5. So with doubling the recipe, I went from 15 cups to 2 1/3. And I'm going to add the Pomona's Pectin, and it's still going to set up. So just keep that in mind when you're making it. Like, if I could stop with 12 cups less of sugar, can you imagine? That's a ton of sugar. So this will be a low sugar alternative for your kids. I mean, just think about what they're getting when they get stuff in the stores. That amount of sugar that's needed to set this up. And I guarantee you they're not using something as nice and expensive as Pomona's Pectin. Yeah, that's perfect. It's delicious. I wish you could taste it. It kind of tastes like a melted gummy bear. It's wonderful. Just what I'm looking for. Back here, I went ahead and turned a little bit of heat on my strawberries in case I needed just a tad more juice, but I don't think I will. But it's on very low heat because I am running out of time to go pick up Eliana. So I want to go ahead and just get the jelly ready. So I'm going to turn the jelly up a little bit. I need to get it to a rolling boil. And let me show you. You can't see my pot or the steamer. So this is what I'm looking at. Look how nice and smooth that is. Like I said, before we can it, we'll be scraping off the bubbles after it goes through its rolling boil process and after I add the pectin. So we're not going to worry about the bubbles right now, but we will get those off. They're very unsightly in a jelly. Kind of leave a weird, like, there's one color at the bottom of the jelly and then one color at the top. Like, they're not going to hurt anything necessarily, but they look ugly. So you don't want to give that away. Okay, and then there's my leftovers back here that I'm going to get a potato masher and mash them down after they get soft enough. We're going to turn that into a lovely strawberry sauce. I'll see you after this is done with a rolling boil when I'm about ready to add my pectin. Okay, as promised, I'm back. I'm taking the lid off of my steam heater here because I'm going to get ready to get my jars out in a second. They're nice and ready. You can't tell from the steam coming off of it. So my mixture's at a rolling boil. See how pretty it looks? I'm trying to do this without the camera getting steamed up because there's a lot of steam. There's a lot of steam from everywhere. So my juice is at a rolling boil. I got my Pomona's Pectin ready. So the pectin actually requires, what did I do with it? The pectin has calcium powder with it, which you shake up with a little bit of water. And now that my juice is at a rolling boil, I will add this. This is what the pectin actually adheres to, is the calcium water. So if you don't want to add sugar, all you have to do is worry about this calcium water and a tiny little bit of either honey or sugar for the Pomona's Pectin if you want to be mixed into to add it in. I added just a tiny bit more sugar to it to just mix it up a little bit. And by a tiny bit, I mean like a tablespoon maybe. And I just kind of mixed it up in here because I add sugar to mine, so that's what I chose to do. And now, because that's at a good rolling boil, let me go ahead and add this in. Just making sure it's folded in well. Okay, so there's my pectin added in. I'm going to stir it in. Now, when you stir in pectin at first, let me rearrange here, sorry about that. This light. When you stir pectin in at first, it like clumps, and that is okay. It will cook down into it as it slowly adheres to it. So don't worry about it if it clumps. Just keep stirring it in there. You're doing great. Let me know if this is your first time making jelly. Is this scary? You feel pretty good so far? I've been making jelly since 2014, jams and jellies, but I just discovered Pomona's Pectin last year. So I had always used regular ball pectin, but I still cut out the sugar and pretty much just had a little bit runnier jelly because I cut out some of the sugar. But I would rather have like slightly runnier jelly than have an overload of insane amounts of sugar. So I'm just pressing these clumps against the edge of my bowl. Woo, that's hot. Steam. Boiling. Okay, let's see. Scrape that off the back. Alright. Go double trouble with it. Now I feel like I have a witch's brew. I've got two spoons going and steam coming up. Yikes. It's hot. Lots of bubbling going on. I don't know if you guys remember the VBS, where it was the submarine one. We sang bubbling up, bubbling up, bubbling up, bubbling up. Anyway, Every time I say bubbling up, I think of that song. I guess because I led music that year, and I actually had a lot of fun with that year's music. That and Agent CD3 were two of my favorite ABSs music-wise. I just feel like Lifeways haven't been as good in recent years. Their music for the Galactic Starveyors was just meh. It was okay. I was disappointed in it. But I'm really picky since I'm a music major. You probably enjoy it yourself. It's just one of those things that I'm really picky about. I like things that, excuse me. I like things that stick in my head for a while. Help me remember scriptures, then I can go back and sing later. All right, here we are. We're bubbling. We're at a rolling boil. I'm just kind of pressing these chunks of pectin up against the edges here to smooth them out and stir them in. Double toil and trouble, right? I don't know if you can see from there how it's bubbling, but it is. I need to grab me some water here. I do better if I don't talk. But that's impossible with one of these videos. Just got a text, sorry. Ooh, that's looking pretty. Nice and bubbly. I have my Pomoda's Pectin things out here. Bring fruit or juice to a full boil. Add the pectin sweetener, which we did. Stir vigorously for 1 to 2 minutes to dissolve pectin, and then remove it from heat. I think we've got about 1 to 2 minutes. What do you think? Yeah, I'm following a recipe. I've done this a lot, but not with Pomoda's Pectin, because I just discovered that last summer. And so I'm still following recipes too. But sometimes it just helps to see other people do it, you know, and to see it said, and that way you're not having to go, oh my goodness, did I miss a step or do something wrong? Well, you can look into my pot and see how mine turned out and compare yours. And to me, that's just a helpful learning tool. Like, I love watching videos with people teaching how to cook things, even if I already know how to cook them, because I like to see their steps along the way and see how theirs looks as they go. So it's just one of those reassuring things, especially in canning, because you don't want one of your jars to get rotten. And no, if you ever see mold in one of your jars, do not try and scrape that off the top and eat the rest of it. Just don't do it. The whole jar is compromised, and botulism does not smell like anything, so you could scrape off the mold and still have contaminated stuff. So if it has molded, just discard the ingredient. Don't throw away your jar. Those are expensive now. But discard the ingredients and wash your jar very well and sanitize it, and it's okay. Things do happen. I've probably lost 3 jars over the past 8 years, and that's not too terrible. That's not too terrible. Of my jellies and jams, and one of them was because I didn't know about Headspace at the time, and I had left too much space in the jar, and it didn't like me for that. All right, so that is good. I'm gonna just slide it down here. My husband's knocking at the door to be let in. I will be right back. Okay, so our pectin is all mixed in, and this is cooling off a little bit. The foam on top, I've got to get the foam off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to barely push a clean paper towel across the top and bring it all over to one side. And I'm just going to scoop it off. My jelly is already starting to set, so it's kind of wiggly, like Jell-O. So it's just kind of all coming right off the top. Now I'm actually not going to throw that out. I'm going to put it over here with my strawberry syrup because it will mix in with those strawberries and cook into that anyway, and I don't want to throw out any of this delicious juice. This is why I like to have two things kind of going at once. That maybe even make it a little bit, the sauce a little bit jelly-like. Strawberry sauce is delicious on top of things like cheesecake and ice cream and pancakes and that kind of stuff. So definitely consider making that as well. Oh, there's a little bit right there I missed. Whoop. Okay. I just don't want that foam in my jelly. Now, I'm going to go throw this away and get my jars ready. All right, this is where your canning goodies come in handy. These are pretty much the two things that I use the most with that. I use the funnel all the time too. So if you're going to get any canning things, I highly recommend the bubble popper / headspace measure, the grabbing tongs. I don't know like what the official name of these things is, but you will want them, trust me. And the wide mouth funnel. You definitely want to have your funnel. Does that have water in it? Yeah. Condensation. Now, jelly can go to 1/4 headspace, which is actually pretty full. So let me get my spoon I was stirring it with. It's already getting really goopy. That's what I want. Oh, that's gonna take me forever. Where's my other scooper? Use this scooper. There we go. There we go. Get it done faster. All right. 1/4 headspace is almost all the way up to the top. I mean, it's pretty high, and you do need to honor that 1/4 headspace as closely as you can. Otherwise, you will have jars that go bad. Get mold in that little air pocket between the top and the jelly. Oh, this is just such a pretty color, guys. I just love strawberry. It's so pretty. It's beautiful at Christmas time to give out. Now, if you want to get kind of experimental with it, which I'm going to do this toward the end, I'm going to pack my jars first, and then I'm going to just add to one of these jars a little bit of basil leaf, because to me strawberry basil is just a beautiful flavor mashup. So I'm going to add a little bit of fresh basil to one of these. Oop, got it. There we go. You can do that. Do not add sage. I know like blackberry and sage go beautifully together and stuff, but sage does not hold up well. It actually like gets a sour taste to it after a while, so you need to not do sage. You can add that whenever you're getting ready to serve it if you want to, like if you're going to do a thumbprint cookie or something like that, you may could stir some sage in with your blackberry jelly before you cook it into the thumbprint cookie, but otherwise you don't need to can with sage. There aren't really any other herbs that turn kind of sour like sage does. So yeah, let's see. Here we go. Where did I put my tongs? I set them down. Let me set this stuff down in here. Now it's not so deep no more. Where did I just put my tongs? There. Get this flipped around. Got a little drip on the bottom of it too. Okay, can I handle these? Sort of. It's kind of hot. Not bad though. Okay. I am also going to, not with that side, I'm going to wipe down my edges. Doesn't matter how long you've left them in the canner to sterilize. Always, for every jar, no matter what you're canning, wipe your edges down. You must. And wipe down my lids too. I do reuse my lids when I do water bath canning. So I leave the marks to let me know what I can last. Ooh, it's hot. And there it is. Strawberry jelly ready to go in the canner. It's going to go in for 10 minutes and then it'll be done. My little helper's here. Just got home from preschool. She just put on her swimsuit that she herself picked out from Costco. Didn't you? Still a little bit big, but it's adorable on her. So I'm just wiping down the rims. The last one with my vinegar to make sure it's clean. And 2 of these, this is one of them, I added in a few basil leaves and just kind of let them sit while I went and got Eliana from preschool so they can infuse it. So I'm just going to kind of come in here and try and get them out now. Ooh, easy there, Eliana. Making that kind of hard. Here, might be easier to scoop it out with my bubble popper. There we go. So I'm just scooping out the basil leaves because, I mean, you can leave them in there, but I don't know about you, but if I opened up a jar of strawberry jelly and I saw green in there, I would think that you just forgot to take off the leaves and that it was trash. And it might be a little bit gross looking. So just for the sake of like going back and eating it later, I'm taking out the basil leaves. But it certainly would not hurt to have them in there. You can absolutely can basil, and it would not hurt the integrity of the food. I think that was it. I'm pretty sure I just put 2 leaves in there because this was a smaller one. My jelly's already setting. Pretty good. Oh, easy now, honey. Let me wipe that down one more time. Since I just got... you don't have to go on the in part, the inner rim, just the outer rim. Anything that attaches to the bowl lid itself, so where this rubber goes, that's where you want to make sure that it's good and clean, because you can actually have bacteria build up there. So that's why we wipe this down and make sure it's clean, so we make sure that our bowl can is bacteria free. What are you fussing about? You just get fancy. There you go. I don't know. Alright. I'm going to mark this one before I put it in, so I know that this one is a strawberry basil. Oh, wait a minute. I made it look weird. It's okay. I'll put a fancy smancy thing over the top of it if I decide to give it away. What's today? Today is the 14th. 22. You don't have to put the exact day. It's just I like to put the exact day, especially when I'm doing meat canning, because if I have one batch of meat go bad, like if it didn't seal properly or something, I'll check the rest of the cans from that exact same date, because I would have done them all in the same batch. I just make sure that they all look good. Just a personal preference. It helps me keep them organized because I do can so often. So like 422 is not going to tell me what batch it is, because I'm about to do a lot of stuff 422. So, you know, to me it's just a little too vague. So I'm going to let this roll. This has got to come up to steam. So when you put these in your water bath, if you're using just a pot and it's a rolling boil, you can start your 10 minutes as soon as your last one goes in. They only need 10 minutes in the canner, and then they can come out and cool. This one has a gauge, so I'm going to wait till it hits the green, and then I'll start my timer. So it'll probably be about 15 minutes until it's done. And then I'll pull them out, and they'll be beautiful.